Now, it is rumored that he is mulling a run for the White House in 2012, and in his brand new book, Courage to Stand, An American Story, former Minnesota Governor Tim Pawlenty details what it takes to be a true American leader. And I sat down with the governor earlier to discuss his possible presidential run. But first, I got his reaction to the Tucson tragedy. Obviously, we're all talking a lot this week about the tragedy that happened in Tucson. You know, what bothers me is how quickly people were to politicize this and cast blame. And there's been one incident after another now where conservatives are blamed almost in this knee-jerk fashion when liberal rhetoric has been so over the top for so many years. And I blame the people that commit acts of violence. I don't blame any one particular group or anyone giving a political opinion. What's your reaction?
Well, the shooting was caused by an individual who's mentally deranged and unstable, and they sometimes do senseless and irrational things. And to then condemn or to judge based on the act of a senseless and irrationally mentally disturbed person, I think is really unfortunate and really something that is a disservice to really addressing the problem. And so I don't like it, Sean, and it's something that I experienced, and I say this in the book, Courage to Stand, when the 35W bridge collapsed. We had people almost instantly saying, I'm going to use this to carve the governor up politically. They didn't have the facts on the table. They were making claims about
a whole long discussion of this.
Yeah, in the book. And so, you know, it's a leadership lesson. Make sure before you make big pronouncements, big decisions, that you got the facts right, you got them on the table. And in my case with the bridge, a year later, the National Transportation Safety Board said it fell primarily because of a 1960s-era design flaw. It had nothing to do with most of the accusations.
So for 1 year, you're being blamed for this bridge collapsing, which was a disaster. And I remember the time. I remember we were headed there for the convention. Wasn't that far out of that.
Right.
And you get the blame for a year, and then it comes out there's a structural failure from the time that it was built.
Yeah, you know, and so democracy depends on an informed citizenry. We can't make good decisions unless we have good information. And to jump to the conclusion about a particular member of the media, a particular type of media, a particular individual or leader, based on the acts of a deranged and unstable individual is fundamentally unfair.
You've not been playing coy with the idea. You're being very open and upfront about the idea that you are considering a run for the presidency in 2012 to challenge Barack Obama and seeking the Republican nomination. As I was reading this book, my impression was that maybe you were trying to address those people outside of Minnesota that may not know as much about you and who you are and your background. It really is an American story. I mean, you tell a story about your mom who had a very tough time, your dad who struggled and worked hard all his life, and then you become the governor of a great state. Is this in part a story to tell the American people who you are?
Well, it is the American story in the sense like your background. I mean, I came up in a meatpacking town. My mom died when I was relatively young. My dad lost his job not long after that. So I faced a lot of life challenges and also learned some lessons along the way.
What is it about the decision to be president that makes it so difficult for you? Walk us through the process, because you've been a little more honest than everybody else. Everyone's more coy. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not thinking about it. But you're being honest. You're seriously thinking about it. What goes through your mind? You've been a governor, so you know what it's like to be an executive like that. What are the factors that determine whether or not you're going to make such a huge jump?
Sure. Two things. What are the needs of the country, and what can I bring to that debate that might be unique or semi-unique that may not be there or may not be there in full measure with some of the other candidates that may run? And in my case, I've governed in a liberal place as a movement conservative and moved the needle dramatically on spending, on taxes, on school reform, on health care reform from a market standpoint, on lawsuit abuse reform, and much more, and did it in a really tough environment. And the book is called Courage to Stand because you got to, in Minnesota, if you're a conservative, you got to stand up to some powerful cultural movements that go the other way. And I think I've learned a lot along the way that I can offer in a larger context. Secondly, though, is the family. And I got a wonderful, beautiful, lovely wife that I love dearly. I've got 2 children, a dog, and you know they need care. And I want to make sure that they'd be properly taken care of if I do this.
You've taken the temperature of them. Where is it now?
Well, my wife, when I ran for governor, said, "You got to do this. You know, nobody else can do it. You know, we got what you believe."
She's saying the same thing.
Well, I came home after running for governor. We had a little schedule problem. I said, "Remember, you told me to do this." And she looked at me and she said, "Yeah, but I never thought you'd win."
She said that.
She's encouraging, and she would support me if I did it.
My wife said, has had to deal with this. Does your husband ever think before he talks? So we've had a similar thing. One last thing. You talk about unique qualities. As I look at the list of potential candidates, I see a lot of grouping together in terms of viewpoints. Do you think the differences are going to be significant or just nuanced?
I think, Sean, what you're going to have is 5, 6, 7, 8 people on a stage, hopefully men and women, but historically it's been men standing there in dark suits with maroon ties. In this case, there'll be some policy difference, but I think they're mostly going to be saying about the same thing on pro-growth economic policies, education reform, healthcare reform, terrorism, and the like. I think an interesting second question is going to be not who can give a speech necessarily or offer a failed amendment, but in addition, who has the actual fortitude, as demonstrated by their life story, their character, their values, and their record, to actually not just flap their jaw about it, but get it done.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important question.
If you were to grade Barack Obama, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but I've given him my grade, what do you give him? What do you think he's, what grade would you give him as president? He's been there a little over 2 years now.
Yeah, I disagree with him on just about everything. And so from my perspective, if I were grading according to my criteria, I would give him a very low grade. I think he is got the country headed in a very dangerous and misguided direction. And it's not about, some nuanced differences between right and left. I think fundamentally he misunderstands what made this country great, why it needs to be great in the future, and the things that will make it great in the future, and he's taken us in the wrong direction.
All right, Governor, it's Courage to Stand, an American Story, and you're going to be all over the country now on a book tour.
Yes, I am.
Where can people find you?
All the major bookstores, Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, Target, your local bookstore.
All right, Governor, good to see you. Thanks for being here.
And let not your heart be troubled. Our great American panel. Straight ahead.